Hey, welcome. Today we're tackling a really fundamental question. How do we actually measure the world around us? I mean, everything from a tiny atomic nucleus all the way up to a giant galaxy, it all comes down to the science of measurement. So we're going to break down how it's done and, maybe more importantly, how we can trust the numbers we get.
It really all boils down to this, doesn't it? What makes one measurement solid and another one, well, not so solid? The answer is surprisingly cool, and it involves scale, structure, and quality. By the time we're done here, you'll have the mental toolkit to look at any piece of data and really think about where it came from. So let's jump in.
Okay, so first things first. The universe is just mind-bogglingly huge, and at the same time incredibly tiny. How on earth do you compare something like a flea to a star? Well, physicists have a really slick tool for this. It's all about thinking in orders of magnitude.
You can think of it like a mental shortcut. It's a way to do a quick gut check on a number. Instead of getting lost in the exact digits, you just ask, what's the closest power of 10? Are we talking about something in the tens, the hundreds, the millions? It lets you instantly get a feel for the scale of what you're dealing with.
And this slide just makes it so clear, right? A whale next to a mouse. We know one is bigger, obviously, but how much bigger? Using orders of magnitude, we can actually put a number on it. A whale's mass is roughly 10,000 times greater than a mouse's. That's a difference of 4 orders of magnitude. See, it gives you a real concrete sense of that massive difference in scale.
And here's what's so wild. Scale is totally relative. This quote says it all. For an astrophysicist, a light year is a pretty short hop. But for a nuclear physicist, the width of a single nucleus is a huge distance. The numbers themselves are just worlds apart, but the idea of distance is the same. It's the order of magnitude that gives it context and meaning.
All right, let's try this out. Picture an orange. Don't look anything up, just think about it. What do you guess its volume is in cubic centimeters? Is it near 10 or 100, maybe 1,000? You don't need a calculator for this. You just know it's not tiny like a marble, and it's not huge like a basketball. It's somewhere in the hundreds, right? A pretty good estimate might be around 300 cubic centimeters. That's thinking in orders of magnitude. So, yeah, we've got a handle on scale. But what about the units themselves? What are they even made of? Well, it turns out that pretty much every unit you've ever heard of, from newtons to watts, is built from just a handful of fundamental pieces. So here's the big idea. It's kind of like how the entire English language is built from just 26 letters. While almost every physical unit is built from just 7 fundamental base units. Things like meters, kilograms, and seconds. We just multiply and divide them in different ways to derive any other unit we could possibly need. It's a really beautiful and organized system. Take a look at this table. You see the unit for force, which is called the newton. But what is a newton? Well, this table shows you its recipe. It's just a specific combination of kilograms, meters, and seconds. Same thing for the joule, the unit of energy. It all just comes back to a few basic ingredients: mass, length, and time. Let's just walk through a really simple example. We all know speed is distance divided by time. Okay, so the base unit for distance is the meter. The base unit for time is the second. So the unit for speed is just meters per second. That's it. It's that logical, built right from the basics. Okay, we've covered scale and we've covered structure. Now, for maybe the most important part, how do we know if a measurement is any good? And this brings us to a really crucial idea that a lot of people mix up, the difference between being accurate and being precise. So here it is, side by side. Accuracy is all about being correct. How close did you get to the actual true value? Precision, on the other hand, is all about consistency. How close are your measurements to each other? And believe me, you can definitely have one without the other.
The best way to think about this is a dartboard. So look at these dots. They're all over the place, right? That means they are not precise. But, and this is the key part, if you were to average out all those scattered spots, you'd land right in the center of the bullseye. That's accuracy without precision. Your results are right on average, but any single measurement is kind of all over the map, usually because of random errors.
Now look at this. These darts are in a beautiful, tight little group. That is fantastic precision. But there's a big problem, isn't there? The entire cluster is way off, in the wrong part of the board. You are being consistently wrong. This usually points to something called a systematic error. Maybe your measuring tape is off, or your method is flawed. You're getting the same wrong answer over and over again.
So, okay, we have scale, structure, and quality. But why is it so important to get all of this right? Not just in a science lab, but, in the real world.
Let's just tie this all together. Thinking in orders of magnitude, that's your sanity check to keep you from making huge mistakes. Understanding derived units, that makes sure your equations actually make sense in the physical world. And, most importantly, knowing the difference between accuracy and precision lets you judge the quality of any data you come across, whether it's in a scientific study or a news headline. So I want to leave you with this final thought. We are just swimming in data every single day. But now you have the tools to look a little bit deeper. The next time you see a statistic, a claim, or a study, you can ask the really important questions. Was it accurate? Was it precise? How good was the measurement, really? And when you do that, you're thinking like a scientist. Thanks for joining me.
Essential terms related to topic are displayed organized according to different exam boards. These keywords need careful attention during revision because they are crucial and should never be ignored. Besides this, past paper analysis is provided for each board and paper type. Make sure to focus on it as it will significantly support your preparation. Also aim to understand the usage and meaning of each keyword rather than memorizing them separately. Continuous practice with these terms in past paper question will improve your accuracy and overall performance.
Please subscribe our channel to get more educational videos. Thank you.